All right, what's going on, Prince? What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. Hope you guys have all had a good weekend so far. Getting up a couple things here, then we'll jump right on to the stream. AI24, Isaac, it's good to see you. Doing pretty good. How about you? Hope you're doing well and your family. Yeah, Prince making another good point. Smash that like button when you're coming in. Look at that. We've already got 3 likes already. We definitely appreciate that. As you're coming in, just hit the like button. Helps our analytics, helps us out a lot. Mitch III, Mitch, how you doing? Good to see you. Doing pretty good, man. And Prince, I saw your comment. Have you ever thought about doing a live call-in show? I know our buddy Mark Rogers, good friend of mine. I know he does that quite often. And I have thought about that. I mean, there are some more logistics that go into that. It's not as easy as it seems. We gotta, I don't want people necessarily calling my direct cell phone, but I have thought about that, and I think we're going to be moving towards that very, very soon. And I'd love to have that. You guys calling in, actually not having to type your questions and comments, but would actually be able to discuss over the phone. So definitely looking into that. Absolutely. Mitchy 3, I deserve more subs. I I hope so, man. I wish. I'm not going to say that I do or I don't, but our goal is to continue to grow. And I appreciate you guys that have been there for a long time, have supported us through since the beginning, and continue to support us. And now it's just a matter of helping us out to help get more subscribers. Tell your friends and your family and your coworkers and everybody else just to come check us out at the Gridiron Expert. And our goal is to hit if we can get 2,000 subs by the end of March. By the end of this month, I think that's doable, and we need your help. We need y'all's help to help us get there. It's only about 150 subscribers, but help get us to 2,000 by the end of March, and we'll be going in the right direction. So definitely help us out there. But I do appreciate that comment. Yeah, Prince. Yeah, and I've talked to him quite a bit too. I'm actually I don't know, an intern for Mark. I do a lot of work on the side and kind of behind the scenes work for Mark. We collaborate on a bunch of stuff. I just talked to him actually, I think this past Friday, and yeah, so he's talked to me about that spoof app with the fake number. I'm certainly looking into that. I think that would make these live streams go a lot better and be a lot more entertaining, I think, for everybody involved. And they could go longer too. We're shooting here about an hour. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm feeling a little under the weather today, but I couldn't leave y'all hanging. It's Sunday. We had to have a live stream, but it's been a rough little bit of a weekend. And but yeah, live call-in show. It should be happening soon. I'm definitely going to be doing my diligent research and work on that, so we can try to get that for you guys. So AI24, first legitimate question, football related so far, and we're only a couple minutes in now, asking what I think about the Alliance of American Football, the AAF, and Prince shot right back and said the AAF is less than watching paint dry. So worse than watching paint dry. Well, and I've heard mixed reviews on the AAF, man. I really have. I've heard people say that they really do enjoy it, and some people just saying it is boring. Here's what I will say, just to answer your question, Isaac. I, for one, do enjoy it. Now, here's the thing. I can't get into the AAF like I can college football or like I could NFL football. I don't have a team out there in the AAF that I am passionate about and will be a diehard fan for. And, yes, it's just the first year of this league. I mean, people can grow to do that, but I think what I like about it more than anything is that it's basically a D league for the NFL, and it's giving these players another shot to try to make their way back into the National Football League where everybody wants to play. It also gives us football year round practically. I think the season will end in May, and then you get the XFL coming up. You've got NBA playoffs. You got so much stuff coming up. So I think I am personally a fan of it. I enjoy it. I think it needs to continue, and I think the way the game's being played is phenomenal. I think the rules that they have established, I think the way they are allowing these guys to play compared to kind of the limit that they put on college football and NFL, I think it's great. I think they're doing a great job. So I'm a huge fan of it. I wouldn't go as far as say it's worse than watching paint dry, but I know some people don't enjoy it. And I am guilty of not watching as many games, but look, football's football. I don't really care how I'm going to get it. Got some comments coming in between Prince and Nona. Back and forth between Clemson and Alabama. National titles here. Alabama's 18 national championships to Clemson's 2 national championships. Prince fake natties, all that good stuff. I mean, the debate will go on and on forever and ever. If Nona was asking me personally why I hate Alabama, the answer would be I do not hate Alabama. I have no, like I said, no biasness towards any team, no hatred towards any team. And even if I did, that would not show here on our show, on our predictions, on anything else. So certainly don't have any issue with the Crimson Tide. I actually have a lot of respect for Nick Saban and what he has done with Alabama. To come in and take over an Alabama program that was struggling when he came in, was not what they were used to be. Kind of, they were dominant, so long ago, and then he comes in here and kind of really transforms them in a span of 2 years, gets them to a national championship. That's pretty impressive. I have a lot of respect for him and their program, without a doubt. Comic Dude 45, it's basically Survivor Redemption Island for professional football. Coincidentally, that seems to be the theme for the current season of Survivor. And of course, he is referring to the AAF still. And he's right, it's redemption. The biggest name that I keep coming back to is Trent Richardson, who was such a high draft pick many years ago out of Alabama. Very solid running back at Alabama, but just could not do well in the NFL. Who did he play for? He played for the Browns for a little bit. I think he played for the Colts for a little bit, and just could not get anything going with either of those teams. He was just not meant to be in the NFL. So now he's in the Alliance of American Football. He leads the league in touchdowns right now. He's having a heck of a season. So, he's right. This is a chance for redemption, a chance for maybe a team to say, okay, because they're not playing against these, crappy athletes here. Most of these guys used to play in the NFL or were good enough in college or were very good in college, just couldn't make it to the NFL. They're not playing against, some, D-level athletes here. They're playing against legitimate athletes and legitimate players. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity for these players to try to get back up to where they need to be and where they want to be in the NFL. And we've seen multiple cases of that in the past. I think the biggest name that came out, years and years ago, Kurt Warner. He never played in the AAF, obviously, but, he was bagging groceries at one point. I think he played in arena football and all that, and he ended up winning the Super Bowl. You take one chance on a player, and you never know what can happen. Emperor of Rome, good to see you. Glad that you were able to join us here. Always glad when you're able to join the chat. Comic Dude 45, what if Tim Tebow was in the AAF? And that's kind of the same question we had on a previous live stream, was what if Johnny Manziel was in the AAF? And I would love to see Tim Tebow in the Alliance of American Football. Now, here's the thing. Tim Tebow has got it all right now. Honestly, why would he even want to go back? He has a very good job as an analyst on SEC Network, and he is trying to play Major League Baseball with the New York Mets and has slowly been trying to work through their minor league, trying to get up to the actual New York Mets. And I don't know if he will ever get there, but he's doing fairly well with baseball. I wouldn't say he's doing great, but he's doing okay with his baseball career. So he's getting tons of money as an analyst. He's getting some money as a baseball player, something that he wants to do. When he was in the NFL, they talked about how he would be better off not as a quarterback but as a tight end. He didn't want to switch to tight end. That's his choice. I think he could have a decent career right now in the NFL had he switched to tight end, but he didn't. And that's okay. He played well with the Broncos when he was at quarterback there, but that was just a little Tebow magic. Reminded me a lot of like Lynn Sanity back years and years ago with Jeremy Lin and the New York Knicks. But, I would love to see him in the Alliance of American Football. I really, really would. I just don't think that's ever going to happen. I think that would boost ratings big time. I think you'd see the ratings skyrocket for the league. I think people would definitely be intrigued. Where would he play? Who knows? Doesn't really matter. I would love to see it personally. It's just not going to happen. Prince, 9 people viewing should be 9 likes. I think we actually just lost a like. So help us out and go hit that like button and help us get to, I think we've hit double-digit likes in all of our live streams previously. So help us out and get us there to double-digit likes. And I see them creeping back up. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you, Prince, for continuing to point that out. You guys are literally the best. Yeah, Isaac mentioning that Manziel got banned from the CFL. Maybe he'll try the AAF. That's what we talked about in our live stream on Thursday night. The odds of that, though, are very, very slim. I don't think he's going to go to the AAF. I just don't see that happening. It'd be another opportunity for him, but look, no NFL GM in their right mind is going to put Johnny Manziel on their team. I would not take a chance on Johnny Manziel ever again. So he can go play in the AAF. I wouldn't even do it if I was an owner or part of the AAF organization. But he's not going to go back to the NFL. He can't even make it in the Canadian Football League. So you can go play in the Alliance of American Football, but you're not going to go anywhere after that. Emperor Rome asking, should A.J. McCarron, former Alabama quarterback, great Alabama quarterback, should he join the AAF? And I would say yes to that, because McCarron, man, he got kind of a bad rap. I think he didn't get as good of a chance in the NFL as he deserved. He was backing up he was backing up Andy Dalton and the Bengals. And when Andy Dalton went down, McCarron stepped in there. And McCarron wasn't great by any means, but he wasn't bad. He has the talent to be a very, very solid backup, maybe low-level starter. And I'm talking fantasy football here, but he has that potential. I just don't think he ever got a fair chance. So I think it would be wise for McCarron to go to the AAF, play there, show what he's capable of, and then have a team bring him in for a workout or something, and maybe he can get another shot in the NFL, because he is not a bad quarterback. I don't think he got a fair chance in the NFL. Now, I'm not saying he should have come in and immediately been a starter. He was behind Andy Dalton. Like I said, had his chances a couple times. But I do think that he should go play in the AAF, work on that, show that he's still got it, maybe get it, because he's still young, and then still have a chance to come in back into the National Football League. I think that's a brilliant idea for him, and that would be something that he needs to look into doing. And I know any team in the AAF would be lucky to have him right now. I mean, there have been some decent quarterback play, without a doubt, but the one that surprised me the most is Garrett Gilbert with the Orlando Apollos, doing a phenomenal job. And, of course, I give a lot of credit to that from Steve Spurrier. I mean, one of the greatest head coaches in college football history. I mean, at Florida and at South Carolina, and knowing how to coach a quarterback, knowing how to coach an offense. And Garrett Gilbert would be my pick right now, I don't even know if they're doing this, but to win MVP of the first year of the AAF, because the way he is playing, the way he has conducted this Apollos team is absolutely phenomenal. It's still got arguments here between Prince and Nona. I'm loving it, though. Loving it. I love to see some discussion and some debate between two passionate fans, an Alabama fan and Nona, and a Clemson fan and Prince. AI24, Isaac, do you know what happened to Austin Allen? Don't know what happened to him since he signed with the Bucs. Well, Austin Allen, former Arkansas quarterback, he did play for I think it's the Salt Lake Stallions. So he signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, yes, but then did join the Alliance of American Football, was playing for the Salt Lake Stallions. I think he actually started a game for them recently. I do think he actually did start a game. I don't think they won that game. I thought he was a pretty good quarterback at Arkansas. Was never going to be any NFL type material. So right now, I think he is with the Salt Lake Stallions, kind of back and forth between playing there and like as a starter and a backup. It just depends. And I think that's one of the things the AAF tries to do as well, is they're giving everybody kind of chances in this league to start. And because, like I said, it's just like a D league, man. I mean, they want to win. I'm not saying the players don't want to win, but it's a good opportunity just to cycle through and try a bunch of people. So he is, I think, right now out in Salt Lake City with the Stallions in the AAF. No, continuing to say that I am a Tennessee fan. I can guarantee you that I am not. I have like I said, I've never been associated with Tennessee, or like I said, even if I was a diehard Tennessee fan, you wouldn't know it here, because once again, we don't allow biasness or emotions to come into play when we do our live streams or when we do our predictions or anything like that. So I am certainly not a Tennessee fan. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, though. Mitch III, why would he be a fan of the Voltards? And Prince, continuing with the insults, continuing with the rebuttals to Nona, and I love it. I love it. John Hopkins, glad to see you. No worries on being late. I think we did start the live stream a little bit early. I said we would do it about 4:30 if you checked our Twitter, and I think we jumped on a little bit early. And as I mentioned, it's been a very hectic weekend. And I'm certainly not feeling quite at 100%, so I can promise you, I've said this in the past, but I can promise you today, this live stream will be a little shorter than usual, just because of just the way I'm feeling and the stuff that we've got on our plate as we enter this next week. So as I'm sure many of you guys have a lot of stuff going on this week as well, with school and work and any other obligations that you have. Although I do hope you all had a good weekend. Mitch III says, I like Furman. Now, I will tell you what, I am rooting for Furman in basketball. Furman was in the rankings pretty early on in this past basketball season. I would love to see them make a little run or try to slip into the NCAA tournament and see if they can pull off an upset or two. But yeah, I'm a huge Furman fan. So we got some solid discussion here. I saw one comment a second ago, and I did overlook it. I think that was from Mitch earlier. Let me see. Yeah, it was talking about another quarterback transfer. And, we did a video a couple weeks ago. I say a couple weeks, about a month ago, over the quarterback transfers and how that would impact each given team, and if we agreed or disagreed with the transfers. I know there have been a couple that have happened since we shot that video. I believe, Josh Jackson going to Maryland. Nick Starkel's out there. There were Shane Buechele, I believe, went to SMU. And that was a great option because of Ben Hicks going to Arkansas. The SMU loses a quarterback, gets another quarterback coming in. So, but Mitch asked what I thought about Alex Hornibrook transferring, and of course we all know that's the Wisconsin quarterback who led Wisconsin to a 13-1 season just a couple of years ago, and of course, or maybe it was I think it was 13-1, 13-2. They lose the Big Ten championship to Ohio State, and then they lose, they beat Miami in the Orange Bowl. So yeah, 13-1, and now he is transferring, and we don't know where he's going to go yet. But I think it was about time. Hornibrook was so sporadic at the quarterback position. He was never that consistent for the Badgers. Wisconsin, I didn't think he was bad. I think he got a bad rep, but he did make some bad decisions. He was not that consistent. He was not the quarterback that Wisconsin really needed. And of course, Wisconsin for years, going all the way back to the Brett Bielema era, relying on that run game, and we've seen that. I mean, we got Jonathan Taylor now. We had Monte Ball. Melvin Gordon. We had so many solid running backs with Wisconsin. They never really had to have solid quarterback play per se. Hornibrook was not bad, but he was not great, and I think they just signed another 5-star quarterback, I think, in their recruiting class. I think he knew his time was running short. Might as well go somewhere else where he can play and maybe be loved and appreciated by the fan base. And Isaac, good seeing you. Appreciate you stopping by for a little bit, and I appreciate that. I do too, man. It's like I said, probably just a viral thing, but I appreciate that. Feeling better soon, and hope you have a good week. Mike Myrick, just saw you pop in. What's going on? As always, go Noles. Good to see you. Glad you're able to join the chat. Emperor of Rome, as someone who actually knows what Team Grid supports, watching people speculate about it is hilarious. And for me too. I know. Like I said, we don't have any biasness towards anybody, but in terms of when we do this stuff, but I certainly do have a team in both the NFL and college. And for those of you that do know my team, it is kind of funny to sit here and watch in the comments how people speculate about who I like, who I dislike, stuff like that. So very, very good point. John Hopkins, will West Virginia be good again this year? And I think we've addressed this before. I think we have. We've talked about it. They're not going to be They're not going to be better than they were last year. I can assure you of that. They will not be as good as they were last year. Now I'm not saying that they will go to a bowl game. I'm not giving out predictions now. That's not what we're going to do. We're not going to do that until summer. But they got a solid quarterback transfer in Austin Kendall. Problem for me is my only fear for West Virginia is new head coach and Neil Brown, of course, coming over from Troy, and that's not a bad hire. Neil Brown was doing some really good things with the Trojans, but can he get some solid success in his first year with a Power 5 school in a Big 12 conference that, doesn't really rely much on defense, but has a lot of offense? And he had good offenses at Troy, and he's got talent on the offensive side of the ball this year. Getting Austin Kendall in is huge. That's huge, but they lose Will Greer, they lose David Sills, they lose some star wide receivers. Can they keep that offensive production up from what they had last year, and can the defense step up? Because I'm telling you what, if you can put a solid team together in the Big 12 where you have a very dominant offense and actually just a mediocre defense, you're going to be looking really, really good. Neil Brown's not going to do that in year one. West Virginia will get back to a bowl game, I think, in Neil Brown's first year. There's just too much talent there for him to not get them to a bowl game. But I think if Mountaineer fans are hoping for another 8-win season, 9-win season, competing for a Big 12 title, I think you will be disappointed. And I do hate to say that. Mitch III says, I heard that Kansas is a potential landing spot for Hornibrook, and that would be a great spot for Hornibrook and Les Miles. I'll touch on that. Blake Hobson, good to see you. Glad you're able to join the chat. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you think about it. Les Miles comes in, new head coach at Kansas, a Kansas team that has struggled for over a decade now. Haven't really been relevant in college football since about 2007, 2008. And they desperately need a quarterback. Desperately need talent, period. Les Miles, we've talked about this multiple times in live streams, how I think that he's going to turn this Kansas program around. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get them to competing at the national title level like they were back in the mid-2000s, or competing for a Big 12 title like they were back around 2007, 2008. But I think he will get them back to a bowl game. Not this year, but fairly soon. Fairly soon, I think he will get them back to a bowl game. And if you can add that quarterback in Alex Hornibrook, maybe he could do it this year, because you need a solid quarterback in Kansas. You know, the Kansas has been somewhat, I mean, at times competitive with teams. And you know, they beat Texas a couple of years ago. They've hung with TCU at times. I think they beat TCU, was it this year or 2 years ago? I mean, they've hung with teams that have been competitive, maybe not always get the job done. And they beat a team like a Texas or a TCU or an Oklahoma State or whoever, and then they lose to someone like Nichols, you know, or Nicholls State. I mean, it's just, they're so sporadic. And Les Miles isn't going to allow that to happen. But I would love to see Hornibrook go to Kansas. I think that would be a great fit for him in his final year, which I believe it would be his final year as quarterback. Maybe two more. Can't remember if he was a junior or senior. Prince 6'1" says Nick Bosa will be the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. He shredded his brother's numbers in the combine, and yes, he is absolutely a freaky athlete. He's a freaky athlete, without a doubt. But will he go #1 overall? Because now there are speculations and rumors that Kyler Murray could go #1 overall to the Arizona Cardinals, and that they might just ship off Josh Rosen after 1 year as quarterback for the Cardinals. And I personally disagree with that. But I know Kliff Kingsbury once said that he would, if he had the chance, he would take Kyler Murray #1 overall. Well, he's got that chance now as head coach of the Cardinals. I think that Josh Rosen, you know, Kliff Kingsbury knows how to coach a quarterback. And I think if he's smart, he knows that Josh Rosen would be a better fit, I think, for that Cardinals offense. And I think it's just 1 year. He's going to come in. I think he can coach his quarterback up a little bit. Maybe not this year, but maybe the next. Show some signs of improvement. I think they need to pass on Kyler Murray. I think it would be smart to get a very solid defensive player, especially along that defensive line, and Nick Bosa. That's what they need more than anything else. Whether or not Kingsbury and the Cardinals organization decide to do that, that will remain to be seen till late April. But I think that's going to be the best choice for them, is Nick Bosa, who, like Prince said, just shredded his brother's numbers and was just dominant in this past NFL Combine. DM says, what do you think of Kansas State hiring former North Dakota State coach Clymer? I think it's Kleiman. But that is a good hire, I think. And I know that's just a generic term. Oh, it's a good hire. No, listen, he won, 5 national titles with North Dakota State in the FCS? I mean, they did not lose. And on top of that, on top of being so dominant in the FCS, he was beating Division I schools. He beat Kansas State. He beat, who else was it? Iowa. I mean, they beat some solid teams. Iowa was number 13 at one point. I think that was back in 2015, 2014, somewhere around there when they beat them. So not only was he just dominating everybody in the FCS, he was coming over and beating some solid Division I schools, FBS schools. And I think that was a great hire. And, of course, if you know, and I don't remember the exact name, but Kleiman and the new athletic director at Kansas State, they're tight. They were together at North Dakota State. The athletic director left first. He hires Kleiman. I think that's a great hire to replace such a legendary head coach in Bill Snyder. He's got some big shoes to fill, and Bill Snyder never really had Kansas State in prime position for a Big 12 title or a national championship. I mean, I know back in 2011, 2012, Kansas State was up there #1 in the nation at one point. And I think in 2011, 2012, they finished at number 6, number 8 in the country. Or they were at that one point when they were playing in their bowl game. They went to the Cotton Bowl and they went to the Fiesta Bowl and played Oregon, but lost both of those games. Kleiman, I think, can come in here, really transform this Kansas State team. It's a very tough transition to go from the FCS to the FBS, not just for a team bumping themselves up, but also for a coach. And we have to be prepared to see that. And I think Kansas State fans have to understand that while this is a good hire, while they might be skeptical, it is a good hire, but you've got to be patient with them. Got to be patient with him. John Hopkins, will Josh Allen go top 5 or top 10? He will go top 10. Of course, we're talking about the star defensive player out of Kentucky. He will go, I think, top 10, not top 5. If he goes top 5, he'll be 5th. I don't see him being any higher than that. But certainly top 10. But I don't think he's going to be top 5. And if it is, it'll be right there on the border at number 5. Prince 6'1", Bosa or Quentin Williams as the number 1 defensive player taken, because Quentin Williams also dominated the combine. Right now, if I were drafting, I would choose Nick Bosa. That's who I would choose. Now, Quentin Williams, I have no doubt, will probably be number 2, number 3, right behind Bosa. But I think Bosa owns just a little bit of an edge. That's who I would want on my team if I was drafting. MCD Sports 4, good to see you, and bringing up some good stats. Kliff Kingsbury is going to be a disaster with the Cardinals. 35-40 with a 19-35 conference record, 1-2 in bowl games. Shouldn't have gotten the job. And that was one thing that we have discussed, and one thing that I'm cool touching on for a little bit right now, actually, is the fact that Kliff Kingsbury struggled so much in college. Why did the Arizona Cardinals choose to take him? Because I think all of us can agree that the NFL is probably tougher competition-wise than college. Maybe some people disagree with that, but why would you take a coach that can't win at the college level and then have him come coach you in the NFL? The funny thing is, though, Kliff Kingsbury could be the opposite of every coach that we've seen that does poorly in the NFL and goes and does phenomenal in college. Think about that. You have like Nick Saban, for example. He coached the Dolphins. Couldn't get anything going in the NFL. Well, I mean, he won some games, but he was not a great coach in the NFL. Comes back to the college ranks, did great. He's done great things with Alabama. He was good at LSU, phenomenal at Alabama. Bobby Petrino, same thing. Couldn't win the NFL with the Falcons. Comes back. He was able to win at Louisville. He was able to win at Arkansas. And I know he struggled a lot at Louisville this past year, but he was winning there up until that point. Steve Spurrier wasn't that good in the NFL. Comes back down to college. Phenomenal things at Florida and South Carolina. Those coaches couldn't coach in the NFL, they could really coach in college. Maybe Kliff Kingsbury is going to be the opposite. Maybe he couldn't coach college, but he could coach NFL. It was a dangerous, it was an interesting choice for them to take Kingsbury. It was a risky pick for them to take Kingsbury as their next head coach. And I think it was Steve Wilkes was their former head coach. I think they did him dirty, man. I think they only gave him 1 year. 1 year with a new quarterback, with a team that was, it was actually a pretty old team. So I know you have some veterans there, but they did him dirty, man. Got rid of him too early. And maybe they just saw there was no sign of improvement. Maybe they thought that Steve Wilkes was never going to be their man, was never going to get the job done. But I think they could have kept him around at least one more year to see if he showed some signs of improvement. Kliff Kingsbury, a very intriguing hire by the Cardinals. I'm excited to see how he does. Cardinals really need that high-octane offense once again. More than anything, I want to see Larry Fitzgerald win a Super Bowl. I have a lot of respect for that man. He's a good person. He's a heck of a wide receiver, future Hall of Famer, and I would love nothing more for him to at least be competitive and try to get back to the Super Bowl and potentially win one, because he of all players right now certainly deserves one. And I would hope maybe Kliff Kingsbury can be the guy to get him there. We'll have to wait and find out. But they got to have some solid quarterback play. Will Josh Rosen be the man? Will they take Kyler Murray? Will they get somebody else? Have to wait and find out. DM says, will Rutgers win more than one game this year? Yeah, I would hope so. It would be really, really bad if they didn't. I'm thinking Rutgers will certainly win at least 2 games. I mean, you got to start showing some improvement at some point, right? And once again, I can't give a record prediction right now. I haven't necessarily analyzed Rutgers' schedule. I don't have it in front of me to tell you who I think their wins are going to come against. But yeah, I would think more than one is 2. 2 is greater than 1, so it might be 2 and 10, but it is greater than 1. And I think that they will win more than 1 game. MCD Sports 4 agreeing with our discussion about Kliff Kingsbury, and Mike Myrick saying agreeing about Larry Fitzgerald. Honestly, mad respect for that guy, really. And I feel for him. He made the Super Bowl back in 2008, 2009, Super Bowl 43 against the Steelers, a game that the Cardinals should have won. Really. He played lights out over that entire postseason, played lights out in the Super Bowl, and just couldn't get the job done at the end. I felt that Cardinals team, man, was just, they were in prime position. Kurt Warner, I would have loved to have seen him win another Super Bowl. Getting Larry Fitzgerald, his first one, he's been playing for another 10 years since then. but he is a future Hall of Famer. He's a very good person, and that's one of the things that I have a lot of respect for. Not only are they good athletes, but how do they act and conduct themselves off the field, or how do they conduct themselves on the field towards other players? Larry Fitzgerald, a good person on and off the field. He certainly deserves it. He certainly deserves a Super Bowl. I just don't know if he's ever going to get one, and he's been with this Cardinals organization so long. People are saying maybe, he should ask for a trade, go play for a team like you could say go play for a team like the Patriots or the Rams now, or someone that's going to be in Super Bowl contention year in and year out. But I think there's something to be said for loyalty. I know if I was a player, I desperately want to win, but I've got to stay loyal to my team. And I give a lot of credit to Larry Fitzgerald for doing that as well. Emperor of Rome, when do I think Tom Brady will retire? And Tom Brady is going to be 42 years old, I believe, this August. So before the season starts, he will be 42 years old. He continues to say that he wants to play until he is 45. And as we all know, that is a very, very old age to be playing quarterback. But I think Tom Brady, his competitive edge is, he is so competitive that when he retires, he wants to know that I am the best ever. And, we as fans and as analysts know that he is the greatest of all time. 6 Super Bowl rings, multiple records. You can't deny that he's the greatest quarterback of all time. There's just no fighting that. Now, Drew Brees, though, I think is the greatest statistical quarterback of all time. As of right now, he owns the record for touchdowns and yards. Now, I think rings are greater than those stats. But Tom Brady truly wants to be, at the end of the day, solidifying the record books as I've got the most touchdowns, I've got the most yards, I've got the most wins, I've got the most Super Bowls, and so forth and so on. Problem is, Drew Brees is younger than Tom Brady. Drew Brees, I do not think, will retire before Tom Brady. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I think he's got 6 rings right now. I think Tom Brady it would be wise for Tom Brady if he wins one more, whether that's this coming season or if he wants to play till he's 43 or 44. He needs to get one more and then quit. I would have maybe quit after this year. 6 rings, most ever, the GOAT, no doubt, but he didn't. And I don't blame him. You can play for as long as you can. It's a very difficult thing to do. For us as fans, it's easy to say, he should just retire. But that is these guys' life. That is their job. That's what they love. They're passionate about. And to retire, you think about it, most people don't retire from their normal job until they're in their 60s, sometimes 70s. These guys are going to be retiring when they're in their 40s, sometimes in their 30s. Now, they've got so much money, they don't have to worry about anything forever. They're going to be fine. But that's their passion. That's truly what they want to do. That's a long time to just sit around and chill out. Now, he could go be an analyst. He could go coach, be with the family. But I think, just to answer your question, I know I've kind of gone off topic a little bit, just kind of throwing everything out there. 45, I'm going to believe Tom Brady and think that he will retire by 45, if not before. And I hope for a player as great as him, I hope his career does not come down to an injury. I hope, like Peyton Manning, got hurt, was just not himself that final year they won the Super Bowl. I hope that doesn't happen to Tom Brady. I hate to see players, such great players especially, go out in a way like that with an injury or, a very poor performance. You look at Brett Favre, the way he ended his season with the Vikings was just horrible. He was getting beat up. The Vikings were horrible. The year before, they were in the NFC Championship. The next year, couldn't get the job done. Peyton Manning, they won the Super Bowl, but that wasn't because of Peyton Manning. That was because Brock Osweiler helped them get them there. And then, of course, their defense, led by Von Miller, won that Super Bowl for them. So I hope that doesn't happen for Tom Brady. But, as you get older, you run that risk more and more. DM asked, if Drew Brees played for the New England organization, would he have 6 rings? That's another hot topic is Tom Brady just a system quarterback? If you thrust any quarterback into that coaching staff with Bill Belichick and the people that he has surrounded himself with, would any quarterback be as successful as Tom Brady? I would say no. I don't think that. Now, Drew Brees, I think maybe. Drew Brees is a heck of a quarterback, so you put him in there with Bill Belichick and them, I think he has the chance to have 6 rings. But, and people can look at it and say, the year Tom Brady tore his ACL, Matt Castle came in, and that was in 2008, and the Patriots still went 11-5. They missed the playoffs, but they still went 11-5. And, that was without Tom Brady for the entire season. The year that Brady was suspended, they went 3-1. That was with a mixture of Jacoby Brissett and Jimmy Garoppolo, who was a heck of a quarterback, I should add. So, is Brady just a system quarterback? I don't think so. I truly do not believe that. Brady has continued, in my opinion, to do more with less. And that's a whole nother argument we can get into some other time. I'll even make a note of that right now. Doing more with less. But you look at, he at times has had very solid wide receivers. Randy Moss, Wes Welker. He's got Gronkowski. But you look at some other teams out there. Peyton Manning had, like, what do you have? Emmanuel Sanders. He had Demaryius. This is, of course, with the Broncos. There was a lot of talent there for these quarterbacks. Drew Brees had Jimmy Graham. He's got Michael Thomas. I mean, you've got a solid running game. Brady has never really had a running game. They have one now with Sony Michel, but I think he's continued to do more with less. So I don't know if any other quarterback could win in that scenario. You swap quarterbacks for a second. I don't know if he could have done that. Prince says, I hope New England drafts Trevor Lawrence instead of some trash organization. The kid is a rare talent and deserves success, or maybe even the New York Giants. Just give him a chance. I would love that to see. The New England's got to be thinking right now who's going to be the future for them. Garoppolo was that future, but Brady refused to retire, and they had to get rid of him. Who's going to be the future quarterback and the future star for the New England Patriots once Tom Brady quits? Trevor Lawrence would be phenomenal, but you know that every team, when he goes pro, every team is going to want to get Trevor Lawrence. Everybody wants him because you're right, he is a very, very rare talent. The fact that how he dominated his freshman year, we know he's going to dominate on Sundays. That he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, I have no doubt, almost no doubt in my mind. Whenever he decides to go pro, he will be the number 1 overall pick. But it's going to be a matter of, can people make trades? Can you find a way to get Trevor Lawrence? I'd love to see him go to New England. New York, the Giants, they're going to need a new quarterback after Eli Manning quits. So it's going to be very interesting to see. But yeah, I agree. I hope he goes to a solid organization. But you make a point. If he's that good, maybe he goes to a trash organization and then revives that organization. Maybe he goes to a horrible organization and gets them to the playoffs or makes them relevant and contenders again. That's why they're the number 1 overall pick. Wherever that team is, they want to draft a quarterback that can change the future, that can change the whole aspect of their team. And that would be huge for Trevor Lawrence, an opportunity to do that. Mitch III says, I think Hakeem Butler is a first rounder since he ran a 4.48 40. I think he's a second rounder. And they also mentioned working Hakeem Butler out at tight end. He was playing wide receiver. They did work him out at tight end at the NFL Combine. I think he is a second rounder or early third rounder. I still don't think he's going to get in the first round. I could be wrong. He is very talented, very fast. He's got great size. I wouldn't be surprised maybe even see the Patriots, if they draft at number 32, assuming there aren't any trades, draft him as the final pick of the first round because they're desperately going to need some new wide receivers, especially size-wise. But I would think second round or early third for Hakeem Butler, despite having a pretty good showing at the NFL Combine. So a little personal question, but DM asking, how young was I when I started analyzing football? You are amazing, and I appreciate that. Very, very kind words. I certainly do appreciate that. For me, I started truly analyzing college football. I was 12 years old, and a lot of people are going to say that's hard to believe. Maybe they won't believe me when it comes to that, but I have notebooks full of just notes and predictions and analysis from when I started at 12 years old. And I was watching football before then, of course. But I really started to dive into it, kind of like we're doing now since I was 12, and it's consistently just been a work in progress. I've predicted over 2,500, 3,000 games in my career, and a lot of those, or about 1,000 of those, you guys have seen here on the Gridiron Expert. So, you're getting a good look at that. But, yeah, we started this a long, long time ago, and we just really haven't decided to put it public except for the past couple years. And it's something that we want to continue to do and hopefully make a career out of. So it's been a long journey, a lot of work that goes into it, but I've enjoyed every second of it. If I didn't like it, or if it was more of a hassle for me than anything else, I wouldn't keep doing it. But it's a passion, and to get the response from you guys, and a very positive response, means the world to me. I probably wouldn't continue to do that if I didn't have such positive responses and support from you guys, our subscribers and fans, without a doubt. John Hopkins says, when DeAndre Francois came to Florida State, they became trash. Will they be elite again? They will not be elite again for at least another 3 years. And I'll tell you why. So right now, they don't have a quarterback, and Willie Taggart, I don't think, is the man for the job. And right now, the ACC is slowly becoming more and more competitive. Clemson, of course, the king. I think Miami's going to take major steps forward here in the next couple of years and be relevant again with Manny Diaz. Virginia, Bronco Mendenhall, they're making some strides. I think you got North Carolina, you got Mac Brown. Maybe he's going to get something going there. Virginia Tech is usually pretty darn good. Average. They weren't good this year, but they're usually in contention. So Florida State, man, they got some issues they got to work out. I don't blame that all on DeAndre Francois. They were number 3 a couple years ago to open the season when they played Alabama. Hung with Alabama, lost 24-7, something like that, and he got hurt in that game. And I think that's really what kind of started the demise of Florida State football, was him getting hurt in that first game against Alabama. Of course, they barely made a bowl game that year. Taggart comes in, they don't make a bowl game this year. I mean, it was just a dumpster fire and a train wreck from the start. But I don't blame that on him. But I think if Willie Taggart continues to struggle and start struggling early on, he's going to get out. And Prince, of course, I see he says keep Willie Taggart because he's a Clemson fan. And as a Clemson fan, you do want your rivals and potential threats, because Florida State can still recruit well, is to continue to struggle so my team can continue to do well. I get that, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. Everybody agreeing that it's quite a bit of dumpster fire in Tallahassee, and we're just going to have to wait and find out if Taggart can turn that around, or if they're going to remain the same and they're going to have to jump ship with Taggart and get another head coach that can actually come in and do the job right. Don't know who that's going to be. Maybe Taggart will prove us wrong, but he continues to say, "Oh, we didn't sign a quarterback in this draft class. I've got a plan." And to me, that is exactly what a man without a plan would say, because I know he's sweating it a little bit, without a doubt. Commodore 45 saying, I cannot stand dumpster fire / uninspiring football. Same here. And I think there's something to even be said for teams that, and this is a kind of a hot take, but teams that are so bad and they just absolutely stop trying. And that's what frustrates me even more. If a team gets down early, or they know they're not in contention for a conference title or a national championship or a bowl game, whatever it is, I think half the team just stops trying. I wouldn't say the coaches do that per se, but it doesn't matter. We can't go anywhere. We have nothing left to play for, but what you do have to play for are your fans and pride, and to play spoiler for other teams. And I don't think people understand that. I don't think the players understand that. And that's why I can't understand dumpster fire and uninspiring football, because I don't think sometimes the players put in enough work and effort when they know that they are a dumpster fire and just utter trash. That can change. Every year is a new year, but I think there's something to be said for that. Absolutely. Mike Myrick saying, I'm of course a big time Florida State fan, as we all know. Always opening it up with the Go Noles. Believing in Coach Taggart, and that he thinks this season he has to show improvement. Well, he does have to show improvement. He has to. Didn't make a bowl game. If he doesn't get into a bowl game this year, he's out. Florida State, we've said this before over and over again, has such high expectations in Tallahassee. You have got to compete, not just in the ACC, but at a national level at Florida State. He's not getting that done, and if he can't get that done, he's out. And more good comments and discussion on Willie Taggart at Florida State. And that's going to be, I think he's, despite only being there for 1 year, is a coach that could be on the hot seat entering 2019 because of the high expectations at Florida State and the fact that they don't seem to have an answer right now on how to respond and improve their team. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out for them. So, guys, as I mentioned, I told you guys I was feeling a little bit under the weather. Like I said, I told you I was going to make sure that we were going to get a live stream out here. Like I said, we weren't going to disappoint. If we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. And if we aren't going to do it, we're going to put it out on Twitter and let you know. But I told you to be feeling a little bit under the weather. And I told you to be a little bit short of a live stream, and I actually am living up to that today. We're hitting about the 45-minute mark here, so close to an hour, as most of these do tend to run. But I think I'm going to cut this one short right now. We do appreciate all of your support and all of your comments and discussions. Like I said, it's what fuels these live streams, and we truly do appreciate that. Make sure you guys do stay tuned for Tuesday. We're going to have a live stream on Tuesday night or Tuesday afternoon, so make sure you come back then. Probably Tuesday afternoon, I would say somewhere around 3:30 or 4, but check our Twitter at Gridiron Expert. That will let you know when we're going to come on here and do our live stream. We will see you guys again on Tuesday. Thank you guys for joining us. Prince 6'1", good seeing you. Emperor of Rome, Comic Dude 45. Thank you guys all for joining us. We do appreciate you guys. You guys have a safe rest of the day and hopefully have a good start to your week. And we will see you all again on Tuesday afternoon.